When I was a child, I had asthma quite severely. My parents tried everything to solve that situation because it was quite debilitating. Finally, after many methods and suggestions got us nowhere, they took me to a hypnotherapist. The hypnotherapist did a few sessions with me and cured me of that condition. It was quite life-changing, to say the least. That experience opened my eyes to how powerful the subconscious mind truly is. If it could create and then release a very real physical condition like asthma, reacting to external drugs and circumstances, then the underlying root had to be a subconscious pattern. The question arose, what else is going on in my life on a subconscious level that is quietly controlling my outcomes? And this is a question I invite you to ask yourself right now. What do you believe on a subconscious level that is controlling your life? I began to realize that our whole life is essentially a printout of what is held in our subconscious. So the deeper question became, what could I do if I had different programming and different instructions? This realization led me to delve deeply into the subconscious through hypnosis, deep meditation, prayer, and other practices. I refer to this whole genre as the subconscious arts. These approaches, especially when paired with visualization and entrainment, became powerful tools for reshaping inner patterns and creating lasting change. Reality is a game. And like every game, there are winners and there are losers. Now that might sound harsh, but look around. 98% of people wake up every day reacting to life, chasing money, chasing time, chasing peace, and losing the game they don't even realize they're playing. Only 2% of people ever learn how to create their reality instead of just surviving it. They understand something the rest of the world doesn't. In this talk, I'm going to share 5 rules for outsmarting the game of reality, with special attention to what part the subconscious plays in that game. Because when you understand these rules, you stop being a piece on the board, and you become the player who moves the pieces. Most people are trapped in the third-dimensional game, where everything feels solid, fixed, and slow. But the ones who seem superhuman, the ones who attract opportunities, happiness, fulfillment, money, and timing that makes no logical sense, they're playing on the mental, spiritual plane. The plane where reality is created, not chased. Rule 1. Reality is not physical. It's frequency in disguise. At the subatomic level, nothing is solid. Nothing is stable. What looks like a solid chair or a dollar bill is 99.999% empty space. Everything is made of molecules. Molecules are made of atoms, and atoms consist of a nucleus with protons and neutrons, plus electrons orbiting around it. But most of it is space. Even the smallest particles aren't really particles at all. They flicker between wave and form, depending on whether or not they're being observed. Your attention is literally shaping the material world. When you observe something, the field collapses into form. When you withdraw attention, it returns to waveform possibilities. Reality is coming in and out of form based on your presence, your awareness, your consciousness, and ultimately what you believe. You are the observer the universe waits on to decide what becomes real. Every outcome exists in potential until consciousness looks at it. Why did I have asthma? Because on a subconscious level, it was what was demanded. And so that was what was created. The world doesn't show you what is. It shows you what you're focusing on. You're not inside the universe. The potential for the universe is inside your awareness. Quantum physicists call this the observer effect. Mystics have said it for thousands of years. As within, so without. What you feel, what you expect, what you focus on, that's what organizes itself into your physical world. Your emotional state is the signal. Your attention is the brush. And the quantum field is the canvas. And that's what paints reality into existence. When you live unconsciously, you keep painting the same picture. You keep reacting the same way, and therefore creating the same experiences over and over again. The material world is really just delayed light, a slow echo of your vibration. When you change your internal beliefs and programming, the outer world must reorganize to match it. Just think about it. We've all known people who seem to have a wake of destruction behind them. Chaos follows them like a dog on a leash, and no matter how hard they try and what efforts they make, they seem to always end in the same kind of situation. Their subconscious says, "Oh, you want to try that? You read that in a book. You saw that in a documentary. Okay, you go ahead and try that for a while, but I know I'm going to bring you right back here where you've always been, because this is what works. It has gotten you through life thus far, and I see no reason to change." And so, they create the same situations. Different people, different times, different places, but it's all the same. Take a moment and reflect. Are there any repeating patterns in your own life that feel familiar? Until we change the way our subconscious mind believes us to be, we will continue to recreate those patterns. And then you start to realize with a little closer examination that your thoughts are things, and they are creating your reality. Nothing solid has ever existed, only information vibrating fast enough to look real. Once you understand this, you stop trying to push reality with force, and instead start creating it with your frequency. You step back and become the projector of your own reality. Rule 2. Your brain doesn't detect reality, it creates it. The brain creates illusions of reality. We don't see the underlying source of reality. We don't see the programming and the intentions. All we see is the finished projection based on our habits of thought and emotion, our vibration. Memory and imagination share the same neural circuits, so the brain literally can't tell the difference between what's remembered, what's imagined, or what's real. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. When my kids were little, I was making Thanksgiving dinner, and I told my oldest son there was a number 10 can of flaked potatoes, and I needed them to make the mashed potatoes with. He said, "Oh, I don't think it's there. I was just in there yesterday and I didn't see it." I told him to go get it anyway. He went over, muttering all the way, "I don't think they're there, but I'll look anyway." But they're not there. When he got to the door, he opened the pantry and looked around and said, "No, they're not there." I walked over, and right in front of him, at eye level, was a number 10 with big lettering that said, "Flaked potatoes." He was right in his mind they were not there, and so his brain did not allow him to see them. When Christopher Columbus and his ships first arrived in the Caribbean, the native people literally could not see the large vessels sitting on the horizon, even though they were clearly there. Why? Because they had no frame of reference, no concept or previous experience in their minds for what a European sailing ship even was. One shaman, however, began noticing strange ripples and disturbances in the water. He couldn't yet see the ships themselves, but he could see the effects they were creating. Intrigued, he returned to the shoreline day after day, patiently observing. Over time, his mind began to form a new understanding. Eventually, he was able to perceive the ships in their full form. Once he saw them clearly, he described what he was witnessing to his people. Because they trusted and respected him, they opened their own minds to the possibility, and soon they too could see the ships that had been there all along. This story reveals something profound about human perception. We are not passive observers of reality. We are active, reality-producing beings. Our brains constantly filter and construct our experience based on what we already believe is possible. Take a moment to reflect. What might you be filtering out right now because it doesn't match your current subconscious programming? What you believe over and over again becomes neurologically true. It imprints upon your brain and nervous system, then projects itself into your reality. Your beliefs don't just shape what you notice, they shape what you allow yourself to experience. The mind deletes any evidence that doesn't fit your story. Only about 12% of what you experience reaches conscious awareness. The rest is filtered by your predominant beliefs. Life is a mirror. Your emotions determine your actions. Your actions produce results, and those results reinforce the original belief. You are not predicting the future. You are programming it. The outer world is a delayed mirror of your inner assumptions. Change the inner assumption, and the reflection has no choice but to follow. Perception is not passive. It is the first act of creation. Rule 3. You don't think thoughts. You tune into them. Thoughts don't exist in your brain. They exist in the field of consciousness. Your brain is not a generator of thought. It is an antenna, tuning into frequencies that already exist in the field. Like a radio, you don't create the song, you receive it. When you're tuned into fear, you receive fearful thoughts. When you're tuned into abundance, you receive inspired ideas. The mind is a pattern recognition machine, an evidence-seeking mechanism that amplifies whatever matches your current emotional state. And when we place our arms gently around our subconscious and say, "I understand you're trying to protect me, but this is really not the way to go about it. Let's try a different way, a way of less struggle and more results." And we show that to our subconscious with love and appreciation through visualization and trance work. Our subconscious can let go of those old beliefs. It says, "Oh, okay, let's do it your way," and takes on the new belief. Your emotional state is your frequency. You are constantly receiving and broadcasting, and reality mirrors that broadcast back. Inner work is the real work, because when you shift your emotional signal, your entire thought stream changes. Become aware of your thoughts without becoming entangled with them. Awareness is the tuner. When we look at our results and can ask the question, what would somebody have to believe to produce the results that I'm getting? We return to a neutral state from which we can choose consciously. And then we get into a trance state where we can access the subconscious more directly. Retune yourself. Live as the consciousness behind the mind. From there, intuition replaces anxiety, and inspiration replaces overthinking. You begin to receive thoughts that align with your desired reality, and life reflects that back to you. Rule 4. Reality is a mirror. It only reflects what you believe, your internal vibration. The outer world is an echo of your inner state. Every emotion, every belief, every assumption becomes the lens through which the world reflects itself back. You get exactly what you believe. The universe is law-based and feedback-based. I used to play a game with my sons when they were young, and I called it, "Where's the dough?" meaning, where is the money? It was like, I spy with my all-seeing eye, but this had different rules. Somebody would name something, and the rest of us had to come up with where the money was in whatever they mentioned, because literally, there is money in everything. The objective of this game was to open their young minds to opportunity and possibility. If you're getting feedback you don't like, there's something inside you that you have the opportunity to change. Problems are not punishments. They are teachers showing you where your frequency is, so you can awaken and reach your full potential. When you shift your internal state, your outer state begins to reorganize. Opportunities appear. Relationships transform. Momentum builds. This is a self-perfecting, self-organizing system. You get what you want, and you also get what you fear, not as punishment, but as a mirror revealing what still needs realignment. If your focus is on scarcity, you will have an abundance of scarcity, because all reality is created in abundance. If you focus on problems, you will have an abundance of problems, and so it goes on. If you focus on opportunity, you will have an abundance of opportunity. We are always creating abundantly. The question is, what are you abundantly creating? Withdraw attention from what you don't want and direct it toward creating what you do want. Stop fighting the third-dimensional screen and do the inner work. When you take possession of your subconscious programming, when you take responsibility for your projection, you unlock your greatest creative power, alignment. You begin to experience more joy, happiness, calm, and peace, and you create an abundance of what you want. Rule 5. Decide, don't hope. Decision is a command. It means to cut off all other possibilities. When you decide, you collapse infinite possibilities into one clear reality. The universe responds to decisions like a magnet. These are decisions about life. The decision that life is always working for your greatest growth, prosperity, and evolution. The decision that things are getting better. The decision that you are able to have abundance. The decision that you have enough time. The decision that people are kind and that collaboration is your way of life. And you can succeed financially with abundance.
Hoping contains doubt and sends a mixed frequency that creates resistance and delay.
A true decision is whole and absolute. You've already claimed it internally. You live in the anticipation and expectation that the result already exists. You're simply working for it to form in the material world, aligning your actions with your new subconscious beliefs to create your desired outcomes. That inner certainty draws external proof. Life starts showing up for you. When you have your subconscious mind no longer working against you, but putting forth its best efforts on your behalf, flow comes from faith. Your actions become inspired and automatic because they come from a place of inevitability. There are many ways to work with the subconscious. When you think about a monk on top of a mountain in Tibet meditating for 40 years, at the end of 40 years, you have an old, cold monk. Getting into that trance state of mind is key to having influence and direction. But unlike that, it doesn't take 40 years. By placing better information into your subconscious through entrainment, visualization, and intentional trance work, you can have a profound effect on your life and others. We use the process of light and sound, light being the predominant feature, into dropping the mind into a trance. If you've ever been around a fire at nighttime, you notice how everything gets really quiet and mellow, and the whole world kind of changes. Your eyes are seeing those flames flicker, and your brain tries to match the pattern and that's what drops you down into that trance state. It's as old as man himself, 10,000 years ago, sitting around a campfire to stay warm. We simply use this natural tendency to go into that trance state with intention. The brain responds to visual input as its primary source of information. Think about when you have seen a pharmaceutical commercial, when it has an older, healthy couple walking on a secluded beach, smiling and happy. In the background, they have a voice saying, "Some people experience inside-out syndrome," or "Everything on their inside feels like it wants to be on the outside." Some people experience allergic conditions or sudden limb detachment. If these conditions occur, please call 811 so you know where to dig, because you're going to die. Your brain does not hear any of this because it was in conflict with the visual scene of peace and serenity. Your brain always defaults to light stimulation. The important thing is to take control of what is in your subconscious mind and make a decision to do so. I was speaking with a major influencer recently and explaining our process, and when he understood, his response was, "Wow, what you're doing is incredibly powerful. Aren't you afraid that somebody is going to get a hold of this and use it for nefarious reasons?" I chuckled and told him the genie is already out of the bottle. That boat has left the dock, and that ship has already sailed. Every time you watch an ad, hear a song, see a movie or television program, catch the news, or any of 1,000 other means of consumption, it is all designed to influence your subconscious mind. They're doing it covertly. What we do is teach people to consciously make the choice of what gets placed into the subconscious as an adult. If somebody isn't willing to choose what gets placed in their operating system, the world will certainly fill in that gap and do it for you. So let me ask you, who is programming your subconscious right now? Decisions collapse resistance inside you into conviction and collapse potential around you into the path. The moment you decide, the path reveals itself. Live according to these principles, and reality will give you feedback that builds unshakable faith. When I was young, I would go work in Hawaii in the pineapple fields, planting pineapple. And then we'd go to the beach in the afternoon and on weekends. One of the things I learned is you can't surf the backside of a wave. You have to be out in front of the wave. That's where the action is. When you take control of your subconscious mind and direct it, you become a miracle maker in your own life. Dream, envision, listen, and move naturally with whatever shows up. Don't fight reality. Surf it. When you decide to get your subconscious mind around you and on your side, you set the wave in motion. In the game of reality, decision is how you win.